Let's get ready to rumble!
Step into the war zone!
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 Friday night war zone!
Friday night war zone!
Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the Mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Friday night war zone.
Friday night war zone!
Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Step into the war zone.
Step into the war zone!
Friday night war zone.
Friday night war zone!
What's going on, everybody? You guys heard of Friday Night Wars? You guys watched us on Friday Night Wars? Well, we got a new show for you. Welcome to the War Zone. Here, Mike and I are going to introduce you guys to one of our favorite guests today, but multiple people that we know and talk sports with throughout the universe, throughout the sports universe, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere that we meet these guys. We want to bring them to you so you guys know who our friends are and who we like to talk to, and even get more knowledge on the sports community. So, Mike, you got anything to add before I bring on our guest?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to have Brian on because I'm tired of talking to a Raiders fan all the goddamn time. This is annoying.
So you guys already know that I don't like Mike. Mike and I already go at it. You guys see us on Friday night. So Mike said, why not bring somebody else that doesn't like Joe Morley on here? So he's bringing on, if you guys don't know this guy, Bolstered Up Sports. Michael put the name up, Bolstered Up Sports on Instagram. You can find him on everywhere, Twitter, TikTok now, Sports Me app. His name is Brian. He runs Bolstered Up Sports. Here we go. Brian, the Titan fan.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an honor to be here with the dynamic duo. I've seen you guys battle it out time after time. So it's truly an honor. I can't wait to step into the ring with you guys, especially you, Joe. I'm coming for you.
This looks like a handicap match. I'm excited. This is going to be good. We're just going to grab the steel chairs and just hit you over the head with it the entire time.
You know, we'll make it a 3-on-1. We're going to make it a 3-on-1. No, Brian, for everybody who doesn't know, they already know Mike and I. They already know who we are. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher and football coach on the high school level. I love talking sports, so during this pandemic, kind of created some free time for me to start this podcast. I'm so glad I made that decision, got to talk with guys like you and just expand that passion. So that's a little bit about me. I love sports. I've been coaching sports, not just football, but baseball, basketball, everything since 18 years old. So it's what I love to do. Talking sports, I could go on and on.
It gets in your blood. It gets in your blood. That's what sports do. We're going to have 3 topics like we do on our show, but it's going to be more of a free form, open discussion. No timers, no tick, 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 get off the stage. None of that. It's going to be just us talking, chatting about each topic. You guys can comment what you think of each topic. I'd really appreciate it if you guys leave comments and stuff like that. That makes us feel good, makes y'all feel good, and we get to interact with everyone. Joe, you ready to go? Brian, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Well, welcome to the Roar Zone. Here we go. Are you ready? I'm going to hit you with that first one. The first question right now. Was this the last that we saw? Phillip Rivers and Big Ben. Are the Indianapolis Colts and the Steelers going to move on?
So I think Phillip Rivers is done. And this is kind of an ironic timing because he played a great game against the Buffalo Bills. I know that defense isn't exactly top notch, but a 92 QBR, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and importantly for Phillip Rivers, no turnovers, no interceptions. I think everybody towards the end of that game when they dropped down 2 scores was just waiting on that Phillip Rivers interception that seems to come far too often. And he didn't do it. He took him right down the field and scored a touchdown in like 2 minutes. So I think he could play again, but I do think that the Colts move on. For Big Ben, I think we saw all the good and all the bad last night on Sunday Night Football. I mean, he's breaking records out there, but like both for the good and the bad. Personally, I'd like to see Big Ben and Rivers get one more shot, but I don't doubt that it's the smart thing for both franchises to start looking towards the future.
Yeah, I think Phil and Ben could make good cases to be transition quarterbacks next year. If both teams want to look at a young option via the draft or someone really young in free agency, something someone pointed out actually on the app was Jacob Eason's actually on the Colts if they want to try him out, or if they want to try and trade up and draft someone or try and pick up a young quarterback. But I definitely think in Philip Rivers' case, especially with the Colts in a situation that they're in where they have a lot of young talent, I think they got it right on most of these draft picks and young talent on the roster, all going to be entering their prime at the same time. It's a similar situation the Chargers are in. That's why I'm so excited about the Chargers roster, is all this young talent is kind of entering its prime at the same time on their rookie deals. I don't know where they want to spend the money because Allen Robinson's a free agent. There's a couple of receivers they could look at, or if they want to spend it all on a quarterback. What you think, Joe, for the Colts?
Well, first, let me apologize to everybody that follows this show, follows us, and Brian. I didn't know we were going to get Charger talk on this show as well
You brought up
as
Philip
Friday Night
Rivers.
Wars. I mean,
You
come on.
came up with Philip Rivers as a topic and then said no Chargers
on.
talk.
Anyways, I do think that they're both gone. I've talked about Philip Rivers before. I don't know if he knows that he's done. I think he wants to continue playing. But like I said, that old song, his body is telling him no, right? Like him and Big Ben both made good throws. But then there was times where you're like, what the heck was that? Big Ben, I really think he's done just because of the money that he has against that salary cap. $41 million cap hit next year for the Steelers, and they're already in cap trouble. So you saw both of them. Both of them were after the game. Rivers in his press conference was crying. Big Ben sat there on the bench. I don't know how long he sat there for, but he sat there, and you had to wonder, like, he was thinking this is it, right? Both of them have gone 17 years. They were drafted the same year. 17 years, 17 seasons is a ton. They both threw for over 60,000 yards in their NFL careers. But you always want to see people leave on their own terms, and you don't want to see the legends, or you can call them legends or great players, die on the field. You want to see them walk out on their own and them tell the game goodbye instead of the game telling them it's time to go.
Well, Joe, I think you hit the nail on the head saying Philip Rivers always thinks that he has one more in him. Just look at his kid count. He could go for days. They aren't stopping anytime. So I don't think he's going to stop short as far as his career. I think he's going to want to play if the Colts will take him.
Yeah, you think old Phil just keeps playing year after year just because he's trying to get out the house during that time of the year? He knows how hectic that place is with 9 kids. Probably going to be 10. I think we can just put the over on 10 already right now for Philip Rivers and his kid count by the time he's done. But you gotta think, with all those kids, he can almost field an entire football team when all goes to hell. And my puppy's hard to handle. I can only imagine.
He's only 2 away. That's all he needs. 2 more, and he can fill 11 for defense, offense, special team. Yeah, I mean, why stop now? You got to at least hit double digits. You can't get all the way to 9 and then stop short, right? So I think Philip Rivers, he's going to come through. Again, I could understand if the Colts moved on, but I do think he would play quality football for one more year. But the Super Bowl talk is probably a little bit out of reach.
Yeah, that's why I agree. I think he'd be a solid transition quarterback. Play for 8, 9, 10 games while they're whoever they can get as a young backup. If they want to save money at quarterback and put it elsewhere, I think that Rivers is an okay backup or eventual backup transition quarterback, a lot like Ryan Fitzmagic's done a couple times. He probably get him at a discount at this age.
Not to mention, he's still young. He's only 39 years old compared to Brian Savior and Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady setting the standard now that if you retire before 40, you just didn't have enough.
Not enough kale in your diet. Not enough kale pajamas. That's what Tom Brady. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I make fun of him for it, but like the no ketchup thing, the kale pajamas, the TB12 method. But I mean, the man is 43 and playing good football. I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. Absolutely historic stuff out of Tom Brady. And he's making his peers look bad if they stop short before 40. I think the difference is both with Big Ben and probably even more so for Big Ben than Phillip Rivers, but it applies to both. Those guys have taken a beating in their career, both on their offensive line's accord, but on their own accord, right? Big Ben, he's known for hanging on to the football, making great plays. Brady gets the ball out. For better or for worse, he's going to get it out quicker rather than later. I'd like to see Big Ben play another year. Is that how you guys feel, or do you think he's past his prime with the 4 interceptions last night?
Oh, well, he's definitely past his prime. Prime Ben could do stuff that other people couldn't. You know, I mean, that's why his body took such a beating, because he would actually put himself in harm's way to make big plays like that. So he's definitely past his prime. Do I think Ben could play one more year? Yeah, he got the team to 11-0. I mean, it was 11-0, right? Is when they finally got beat. So of course he still can play, but the Steelers should be looking at this like, hey, we went 11-0. We should be a Super Bowl team. Is Big Ben a Super Bowl winning quarterback still? I don't think he can move around like he used to make that kind of stuff happen in the playoffs. We saw what happened. I know the Browns came out red hot, and I think the Browns play that well against anyone. They might do it, except for maybe Kansas City. But Big Ben looked awful in that first half of the game.
I think he's taking too much blame for the 4 interceptions. Some of them were tipped up, some of them were bad. I mean, and he was down by a lot. I want to know how Big Ben's arm feels Monday morning. I want to know how he woke up and his arm is feeling, because he threw the ball 68 times. 68 times. And for an old man like that, if his arm is good, ready to go, and he didn't have to ice it, come on back. But if he's hurting this week and he stretches it out until Wednesday, Thursday, Big Ben, it's time to hang it up.
There was many times as a pitcher in a baseball game.
For real. I'm sure he's got to ice down that chicken wing. But Big Ben, I still think he's an average, at least average quarterback in the league. Mm-hmm. I think you could win a Super Bowl with him, but not with that roster that they have right now. They're going to need an elite running game to be able to support him and open up some explosion plays in that offense, which is what they're completely lacking. But can we talk about that game just a little bit? The Steelers did get red hot. Now it was, the garbage time with quotes, which does make it easier to start moving up and down the field. They scored 4 straight times and had a 4th and 1 with down just 2 possessions. Mike Tomlin punted. Do you think realistically the Steelers could have won that game? I know that's a big what if, or was it always out of hand to you guys?
I'm not going to say completely no, because there was a second in there with all of the crap that I posted where I was like, oh no, I'm about to eat my foot right now. This is about to be bad. I think it was a moment where they were driving. I think they were down by, it was 35-23 or something like that, where if they score, they're within taking the lead with another touchdown. Not even just tying the game up. So I was a little bit worried. So I'm not going to say no, it was impossible. The Browns still, I think, would have had to have completely choked at the end there and not done anything that they did in that fourth quarter. Because that fourth quarter is really what sealed the game away for them. But also the Browns secondary is awful. So who knows what the Steelers could have gotten if they would have picked up that 4th and 1.
I'm with you, Brian. I always say, and you guys hear me say it all the time, the game don't start till after the first quarter. I don't care what the score is. Hopefully it doesn't get away like that did. Like 28 points is a lot, but the game doesn't start till after the first quarter. You guys played football, Brian. You coached it. That first quarter, the adrenaline's down, the game plans, the scripted plays are done. Here we go. And then, so I was preaching that, and at the start of the fourth quarter, 4th and 1, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna get this. They're gonna come and score right now. Here we go. And then he punts the ball, and I'm like, what are you doing? I think if they would have scored right there, I think, what were they down? 12? They would have been closer. Yeah. They still would have been down, but I think they were already making that comeback, and it would have been more in the Browns' head of, we are the same old Browns. But instead, you gave them the opportunity, and the game is the game. It's over now.
Yeah, and Juju and Ebron were different kind of monsters in that second half. They look like themselves again, especially Ebron.
Yeah, a lot of wise coaches that I know talk specifically the most important 10 minutes in the game is the 5 minutes before halftime and the 5 minutes after halftime. And really that's where this game, I don't want to say flipped, but came back to within reason, because the Steelers were able to get a stop and put up a couple points, that only 10, right? They had to settle for a field goal. But that's where this game really did come back within reason to where they had a chance there in the fourth quarter. Again, that's a big what if. But I was personally hoping for it, because then we would have seen some pressure on the Browns. Not only a one-score game, but that heavy weight on your shoulders of everybody looking around like, wow, it was 28-0. Are we going to let this happen?
Yeah.
And it would have been really interesting to see how they responded. So I'm still a little upset at Mike Tomlin.
He should have went for it, man. It's the playoffs. Talk about the playoffs here.
Well, that's a great segue into our second question, right? Right here, the second question. Can the Ravens and the Browns, both from the Steelers division, can they make noise the rest of the way in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the Ravens more so than the Browns, first and foremost, because of the defense, and then secondly, the matchup. The Bills still struggle to stop the run. And the Colts, if you go back and look at that game, they dominated it in every way except the score, right? Which is the only thing that matters. But they dominated that game because of their run game, which really set up Phillip Rivers. I think the Ravens can do very similar things, and their defense is elite. They're going to be able to put Josh Allen in uncomfortable situations and put the ball up where it's either coming down to Marcus Peters or Stephon Diggs, Marlon Humphrey or Stephon Diggs. So I think the Ravens are the team to watch a little bit more than the Browns, although I think the Browns will give the Chiefs a test, but their defense isn't going to be good enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think the Ravens have a much, much better shot. I mean, even if the Browns come out hot like they did in this last game against the Steelers, I don't think Mahomes throws that many interceptions, even if they weren't Big Ben's fault. I don't think that they even let them get in that kind of situation where it can be a mistake that goes for interception. Let's say the Browns start off 14-0 or 17-0 like that. That's nothing for the Chiefs. The Chiefs still are the favorites to me in that game just because of that Browns secondary. I think they're going to tear the Browns secondary up. I know a couple of weeks ago they struggled with Atlanta. I think they just got laxed. They're not relaxed now. They've had a whole week to get ready for this. They expected to see a much more difficult opponent. They expect to see Baltimore, I'm sure. So we'll see how the Chiefs come out. But I think that the Browns season is probably over. The Ravens, on the other hand, I like a lot of what you're saying about how the Colts exploited having the run offense support them to stay in that game and have a shot at the end to win the game. And I can see the Ravens keeping up with the Bills. We'll see how the Bills defense steps up because we know the offense is going to bring it. We'll see how the Bills defense steps up.
Well, I've been on record saying the way you win in the NFL playoffs is defense and running games, right? Those are the two things that get you there. The Browns don't really have a strong defense. We saw that in the last couple of games, but they have one hell of a running game. And I want to debate that they should have used that running game even more in the Pittsburgh game. And I was very disappointed in them because you don't come out with a big lead after halftime and only do a 3-minute drive and give the ball back when you have the league's best running game. But, I don't know. I don't think any of these – I think they went into a rivalry game. Both the Ravens and the Cleveland had rivalry games. They both went into games that they had to prove that something, right? The Browns had to prove they had to beat the Steelers. The Ravens had to finally prove that they could beat the Titans and get over those humps. So I think they went in there a little bit more familiar with the teams, and not to take anything away from their victories, but everybody already had questions about the Steelers. Everybody knew that if you stopped Henry, which is not easy to do, but if you stopped Henry, you beat the Titans, and they did it. So it's not like these are surprise wins, or they shouldn't be surprise wins. I mean, the question marks were out there and you could see it, but I mean, they're a little bit shocking. Like you thought the favorites would take it. So congratulations to both teams, the Ravens and the Browns. But now you get the Bills and the Chiefs. Now we're going to find out what you're about, right? The Bills did beat Indianapolis. I mean, as much as people want to say Indy should have won that game or whatever, the Bills beat them. The Indy has probably the best defense in the playoffs. So the best defense in the playoffs is now out. The Bills probably won't face a tougher defense than what they faced last week. And if you look in the past, the Bills did beat the Ravens last year, week 14. They did beat them. They held Lamar to like 40 years. But both teams are a lot different from last year. The Ravens aren't the same Ravens, and the Bills defense I don't think is as dominant as they were in the last couple of years. I'm going to say that yes, the Browns and the Ravens had a great week 1 of the wild card weekend, but that was it. They're done now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And about
Yeah.
the Colts 100% had that game. I saw MPJ first of all before half. That play before half where he ran to the corner, Philip Rivers threw that fadeaway throw, and it just was a little bit overthrown. That was the perfect spot to put that ball. He put that ball in the very corner. Everyone was hitting me up like, dude, Philip Rivers overthrew that. Philip Rivers put that in the exact spot it needed to be. That was a corner route. It was a delayed corner route, a corner/pick route when I looked it back. And MPJ has to get to the corner of the end zone. He got jammed up at the line and wasn't able to get there in time. Rivers was getting hit by 2 guys. If they make that play, that game's a whole lot different for the rest of the game. And I think the Colts would have had a really good shot at pulling that upset off, because at the end of the game there, you're not going at it with such desperate, emergency needs of getting down to the end zone. The game's tied, or you guys are up by 3 or something like that, and you're defending the Bills offense instead.
I agree with you, Mike. I think that's a great point where you see the inexperience of a rookie wide receiver not realizing I've got to fade to space there.
Yeah.
You've got to fade to the corner because that's where an experienced quarterback is going to throw that football. And then the biggest moment was that. And then right after it, Josh Allen put his big boy pants on and took the Bills like 97 yards for a touchdown. That was a massive deal. Josh Allen played a great game. The Bills' destiny is completely on his shoulders. They have no running game. The defense is average at best. And he delivered. I was really impressed with him. I do think the Ravens are going to be able to give them a few more problems than the Colts were, just matchup wise. But that was an awesome game to watch. That was my favorite game so far. Not the Ravens Titans one. That wasn't my favorite, to say the least.
Was it the dancing and stomping?
It was that, and it was the getting bullied. We got bullied. Like, they beat us up that game.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, not as bad as the Steelers got beat up. Again, like, I know the start of that game was a little fluky. I get that. But the Cleveland Browns offensive line is by far the best in the league. It's not even close. You pair that with the best running back duo, and they absolutely mauled the Steelers. I mean, just pushed them right into submission. It was embarrassing for the Steelers. And then, Joe, I get what you're saying. Like, you'd like to see them run the football a little bit more. But the Steelers were leaving number 41, I think his name's Spillane, inside linebacker, on Jarvis Landry one-on-one. And he wasn't even within 10 yards of him, just over and over. It was brutal. So, I mean, I can't blame what happened with the Browns offense too much. I mean, they didn't have Stefanski. That's also a part of it.
Yeah, man. I remember in like the 3rd or 4th quarter, my Browns buddy was freaking out because they had just got within 1 score. And he was like, man, we jinxing ourselves. Everyone's posting about the Browns. We're jinxing ourselves. And I said, why have they not been running screens and draws here on 1st and 2nd down on these drives? They're good drive starters. You're probably going to lead yourself into 1 first down. Just get, a nice 5-6 yard pickup on 1st down. And sure enough, as I'm typing that and I'm recording for a video on the app, they run a screen to Nick Chubb and he breaks it for 50 yards. And that sealed it, really. That was the end of the game right there. The offensive line and Nick Chubb.
No, good for the Browns. Good for the Browns fans. About time. About time that Cleveland is relevant again, right? I always like those stories. But let's talk about the Ravens and the Bills one more time. Did you guys know the Ravens are on a 6-game winning streak now, including the playoffs? And the Bills are now on a 7-game winning streak, which could have been an 11-game if it wasn't for the Hopkins catch at the end of the game. So these are 2 hot teams now. 2 hot teams coming at it. And I know the Bills don't have a running game. We all know that. And now Zach Moss is out for the playoffs. So that hurts Buffalo just a little bit more. But they haven't had the running game all year. But when they need the big runs, they get it. Like you saw it in the game against Indy, where they needed a big run for a first down, Singletary picked it up. So I don't know who you guys are taking in this game, but this might be the best game of the weekend.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
It's tough. Here's, if we're going to get all analytical, more people go on 7-game winning streaks than 12-game winning streaks. So just kind of the law of averages, which probably doesn't mean crap in just one game when you narrow it down. It would point to the Ravens a little bit, but I'm going to say something crazy here. I think Josh Allen is John Elway. He is John Elway. He is a beast of a quarterback that runs people over, is known for having the biggest arm in the league, and is just a dude that people follow. I've been so impressed with Josh Allen. I've been so critical of him for his first 2 years, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got some superpowers over the offseason, but this is a different quarterback, and I can't say enough about him. So I don't know. I haven't made my mind up yet. I should probably go against my instincts because my picks last week were about as bad as they could be. Other than, I did pick the Chiefs to move on. So I get credit for that one, I guess. But I mean, for all the sports bettors out there, pay attention to my pick and probably just do the opposite.
Okay. I'll write that down. Yeah, Josh Allen has to maybe have had the biggest leap as far as a quarterback that I've seen maybe in my life. And I'm young, I know, but that was the biggest jump from being, maybe bottom 10 quarterback to now we're talking top 5. And as these older guys start to get older, he's going to probably sneak into the top 3 and be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a long time to come. And it's what you love about football, right? It's just hard work. He worked his ass off. I'm sure it's what it is.
You guys already know who I'm taking. I'm taking Buffalo. I'm already telling you. I already posted it. I know I went 3 for 3 this week, or 3 for 6 or whatever. But my Super Bowl teams are still alive. The Saints and the Bills. Those are my 2. So they're still there.
And my 2 are still alive too. The Chiefs and your favorite team, Joe, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. They're going to pull. Hey, our guy, Jay the Plug, these Saints fans are already shaking in their boots.
Exactly.
They're already trying to put out into the ether that the fix is in. They're scared. I'm telling you. And I got roasted on social media for saying that, the Buccaneers are going to beat the Saints and, the Saints are going to beat them 3 times in 1 year. That's too tough to do. But it is a tough thing to do. A division rival 3 times in 1 year. That's pretty tough. The Bucs are hot.
And this is a different Bucs team than the Saints saw in the other 2 games. The Bucs are clicking. And I've been saying it to Joe this whole time, but he don't believe me, of course, that when this team starts clicking, they are going to be the best team in the NFL. They have guys on defense that can step up and make them, a top 15, top 10 defense. They have talent on offense. You don't even need to talk about it. It's ridiculous. And, Bruce Arians isn't the best coach we've ever seen, but he's still a long-time coach, perennial head coach in the NFL. He knows what he's doing. When this team starts clicking, I think they're a Super Bowl team. And that is why I have the Chiefs and the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl as well. And also, one more thing before I pass it to Joe so he can complain about Brady throwing 40 touchdowns at age 43 somehow. I don't know how he's going to do that. But one more thing to say about the game being fixed and the Saints fans already saying it. I hope in that 4th quarter, the Bucs are up big and the refs just don't throw any flags. So there's no excuse. There's nothing that happens in the 4th quarter.
When the Saints go marching, and I'm just gonna say Saints are gonna have their way with them. It's gonna be done. Anyways, it leads us straight into our 3rd question here in the war zone, and it's perfect. It's perfect because we are forgetting about this guy. Is everybody underestimating Sean McVay?
Yeah, I'll say they are. Not that I think the Rams are going to go much further. I didn't think the Rams were going to win that game. I didn't think the Rams were going to make the playoffs. So if you look at the beginning of the season, I didn't think the Rams were going to be the 3rd best team in the division. I thought they were going to be the worst team in the division at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I think I underestimated Sean McVay because I think the reason that they're as good as they are is because of Sean McVay. They lost a lot of veteran talent last offseason. That's why I was super low on the Rams this year because they were kind of just a team that's always leaned on their defense, obviously, but they were a team last year that you could tell there's a few cracks in the ship already. And when Todd Gurley left, a couple guys on defense left, I was like, this team's going to fall apart and they're going to have to rebuild in the next couple of years. But Sean McVay, did a great job with the defense. Jalen Ramsey stepped up. There was a time there last year we were thinking Jalen Ramsey might be falling off the cliff a little, but he stepped up this year, started to take over, be the best corner in football again. And of course, Aaron Donald is amazing. But I think Sean McVay held that young team together. And that's why you're seeing so much inconsistencies with them, where they're amazing one week and then bad the next week, is because they're such a young team and they got a lot to learn. But Sean McVay, I think, is solely responsible for the Rams staying relevant in this year and probably in years to come.
No doubt. He righted the ship in LA quickly once he got there. When they really looked like they were in a downward spiral, they invested heavily, took big swing for the fences in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Both have paid off. You were definitely on the right track with last year. There were cracks in the armor, to say the least. And this team still, they don't have much depth, but that top flight, that first line is strong. So they've stayed healthy. If they can stay healthy, they will test the Packers. I don't know if they have enough in their quarterback room to pull off that upset, but the patchwork they've been able to do for their run game's really impressive. And the matchup to me of the whole weekend is Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Adams. Jalen Ramsey is my favorite corner. And because he's kind of an old throwback, similar to Darrelle Revis, where he goes where the best receiver goes. He doesn't play one side. He doesn't do any of that. He covers one guy and absolutely blankets him. He owns DK Metcalf. It's going to be interesting to see if he has that same success against Devontae Adams, who's obviously a much better route runner.
See, I was low on the Rams in the offseason. I didn't think they were going to get like 5 or 6 wins. Then I was too high on them, according to some people. Like, I think in week 15, I was like, Rams are my number one team or something like that. And people were like, no, you're too high on the Rams. You're too high on the Rams. And I talked myself down. You know, after a couple weeks, I talked myself down. And then I was like, the injury to Golf. And I was like, okay, they're not going to make it past Seattle. And that was my fault. I doubted the Rams. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to. I've been talking about how Green Bay is one of those teams that they are the number one seed, but for some reason we just think they're going to get beat. That they have holes, right? And this might be the week. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it might be the week. Because when you think of the Rams, what do you think of? Jared Goff and Aaron Donald. But there's so many other role players on the Rams team, and that's because of who? Sean McVay, 34-year-old coach, 34 years old, 4 seasons in the NFL, 4 winning records, 3 playoff appearances. They missed it last year. They went 9-7, missed it. He's been in 1 Super Bowl. He already knows how it feels to be there and lose, and you know he has that hunger. They've had a top 10 offense, according to yards, in the NFL in all 4 years. This is the first time in the Sean McVay era in Los Angeles that they have a defense in the top 10 in yards. Actually, they have the number 1 defense in terms of yards, the number 1 this year. So my thing is, are we overlooking this? The Lakers won. The Dodgers won. Did the Rams make it the trifecta?
No. Yeah, I agree with you that I think the Green Bay Packers are setting themselves up for failure. And we said this on an episode that actually got deleted when this big piece of crap decided to crash on me. But on that episode, we were talking about how, the Packers didn't go out and make any moves at the trade deadline to try and improve a little. They didn't draft anything that's really going to improve the team that's on the field. A.J. Dillon, I think, has a bright future, but you have a running back there. So it wasn't like they absolutely needed that backup running back. What they needed was either some help in the secondary. They could have got a slot corner. They could have grabbed another linebacker. They could have grabbed another offensive lineman for depth. They could have grabbed another receiver for Aaron Rodgers at the deadline or in the draft. They didn't do any of that. To me, you're setting yourself up for failure when you don't improve at all after a season that you were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Because I feel like every other team went out and tried to improve, especially teams like the Buccaneers, especially teams like the New Orleans Saints. And if the Green Bay Packers run into either one of those 2 teams, I think they're in trouble. I don't think the Rams quite have enough juice to do it, though. I think it will be competitive. I think that the Rams will give them a little bit of fits, especially if this game is in the snow. I don't think the Rams are going to take them down.
It will be interesting weather-wise because those West Coast teams typically don't do well in bad weather, maybe outside of the Seahawks. You guys enjoy your sunshine.
Yeah, it's nice out there.
65 you're 65 degrees in January. I know how it is out there. But that's going to be an interesting twist to this, but kind of plays to their style at the same time. So you kind of have a conflict of things there. I definitely think that the Packers are on upset watch just because number one defense, that is so tough, and they're going to be able to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. It's just going to come down to, can the Rams duplicate their run game success, and then do they have a quarterback, whether it's Jared Goff and his broken thumb or John Wolford, who can just make a couple plays. They just need a couple plays out of them, and it will be a close game. I agree with you that the Packers did not really improve on paper. They still had the same name there at quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers is a different quarterback this year than he was last year. So that's the reason I think people are feeling a little bit differently about this Packers team.
Yeah, I got you. Joe, I'm sorry, Brian. I wish I would have had you in it. I didn't really know you back then when we started the pick'em competition. Joe, go ahead and take the Rams right now for everybody. Go ahead. Oh, wait. I don't hear Joe.
I'll take the Rams right now. I will take the Rams to beat the Packers.
There we go.
I originally had the Bucks going, and my picks got messed up. I originally had the Bucks going and knocking off the Packers.
Yes.
Here we go. I'll take the Rams. I'll take the league's number one defense to knock them off. I think Jalen Ramsey can shut down Devontae Adams. Then after that, what do they have? Basically nothing. It's going to be all on Aaron Rodgers to find somebody. Maybe hit the tight end. But I think the Rams, because the Rams not only have one running back, they don't have two running backs. They have three running backs just for this. So if Cam Akers can't handle the cold, they're going to have Malcolm Brown do it. If he can't do it, then they're going to have Henderson do it, right? I think the Rams are set up to go into Green Bay and knock them around. And it's going to be good. I just looked it up. It's going to be 32 degrees on Saturday in Green Bay. It is what it is. It doesn't say it's going to snow. It says it's going to be a sunny 32 degrees. I don't know what the heck that feels like. Because it was 61 degrees where I was at, and I was bundled up this morning at 61 degrees. So I understand, but I don't know. I'll put me on record right now. LA Rams. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the Super Bowl, but I say they beat the Packers this weekend. Down goes Frazier.
Well, you're already down one game thanks to picking the Titans. I appreciate going down 2 games here right before the title games too. So you only have 3 to come back on. You might just want to pick opposite me the rest of the season after this Packers taking down the Rams.
Brian, are you with me? You taking the Rams with me?
No, he's not.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. Hey, but that's probably good news for you because my picks for the first round were awful. So that's probably good news for you, but I just can't do it. And that's the reason I went with the Seahawks, which was a bad move, right? But I just could not bet on the Rams quarterback room.
Yeah.
I didn't give enough credit to literally every other box being checked by the Rams. They're better at everything else outside of quarterback. And I didn't give that enough credit. We might be seeing a similar thing in Green Bay, but I can't do it. Aaron Rodgers has been on a tear. If he falls short, I'm going to be making a video about don't put this man in the same breath as Tom Brady again. So you're going to have to deal with that, Joe. So I feel like either way you lose here.
Yeah, and I think that Jalen Ramsey can slow Devontae Adams down. Maybe Devontae Adams doesn't have a 100-yard game, but taking that coverage away, Aaron Rodgers is going to find his way around that offense, and he's going to hit Devontae Adams when he needs to. And Devontae Adams is a completely different beast than DK Metcalf. I think DK is on his way. Don't get me wrong. I am a big DK believer, but Devontae Adams is playing the best wide receiver football in the game right now. Those guys look like they're on rookie mode out there. It looks ridiculous week in, week out. If you watch how in sync Aaron Rodgers is with Devontae Adams route running, it's amazing, man. It's beautiful. It's like watching poetry.
Dang.
Poetry in motion.
All right. No, I like Devontae Adams. I like exactly what the Packers are doing. I just don't think they have enough. And okay, you shut Devontae Adams down enough. I was saying Devontae Parker. Wow, that's a
Devontae Parker. I'm out on the Packers.
That's a crappy receiver. I don't even know why it came to my mind. Anyway, Devontae Adams, you shut him down. and maybe you shut him down 1 or 2 or 3 drives, and he does beat you on 2 drives, right? He scores 2 touchdowns. But then that running game of the Rams takes off, and they keep the Packers on the sideline too. They keep Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams on the side, because you got to think that's their game plan too. Their offense is going to keep you on the sideline, and then if you come in, hopefully you get 1 or 2 stops, and we beat you. And I don't know. I'm not going to say this is going to be a high scoring game. If I was going to bet on this game, and we're recording this on a Monday, it's so early in the week, but I would say it's going to be a 20-17 game. It's going to be a close, low scoring game.
I think it's going to be a high scoring game for the Packers.
You're calling a blowout. Is that what you're saying over
I'm
there?
calling, I would probably say, I'd be safely saying 28 or 31 for Green Bay and 20 or less for Los Angeles.
All right. I mean,
If it's sunny, 32, I think Aaron Rodgers can handle that.
Oh, no doubt. He can handle that. He can handle any weather. To me, that's not the issue. To me, it's just comes down to, does the Rams defensive line absolutely obliterate the Packers offensive line? Now, that Packers offensive line's really good. They lost left tackle Bakhtiari, though, a couple weeks back. So that might be kind of a weak point. And I know they're much better even with missing their left tackle than the Seahawks offensive line was. But I'm telling you, with that Rams defensive line, it makes Jalen Ramsey 10 times as good as he already is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys saw this. The Packers are starting Jared Valdir as their offensive tackle. You know where he just started a playoff game for the Colts last weekend, and he signed because he was on the Colts practice squad, so he was able to sign. And with the new COVID protocols for playoffs, he's able to play for the Packers this weekend. So he's going from losing with the Colts to losing with the Packers this weekend.
I think he's going to NFC title game. If I had to call it, I think he's going to NFC title game to play the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers.
I like it. At first, I thought you were saying he played last week for the Colts, like was actually on the field. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. If he was out there playing, that Colts offensive line did some work. So maybe he's bringing a little something extra to Green Bay.
From what I read, he was out there. I mean, I don't remember him being out there, but from what I read, he got called up on the active roster. But since you're still on the practice squad, you're able to sign the other teams.
That's pretty wild.
Pretty cool. Maybe he can just sign with the Rams then after they move on and beat the Packers.
Now you're bouncing back and forth, Brian. This is supposed to be a
handicap. Yeah, but I'm just saying he can just keep it. He can just keep it rolling.
Or the Saints.
Nah.
Yeah. Nah. Conspiracy theorists, get going because the Saints are duped.
Welcome to the war. This is the Warzone. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked our guest, Brian. I appreciate you coming on and giving our opinions. So we had some great laughs. And I made some picks. You guys are kind of scared to make your picks. But Brian, you want to end off anything? You want to say anything to the crowd before you leave?
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity. It was a lot of fun. I think everybody that watched us could tell that we had a lot of fun. We came out with a lot of hot takes, I think. Yeah. Not just you. I said Josh Allen was John Elway. To me, that's a louder statement than the Rams take down the Packers. Now, it might not be a smarter statement. Don't get me wrong. Right? I might look like a fool here in a week when the Ravens just take him down. But again, guys, I just appreciate it. Watching you guys all the time. It's an honor to be on the show with you.
Brian, since Joe wants to talk trash, Chiefs, Bills, Packers, Buccaneers, book it. All right, Joe, come up with a cool catchphrase to end it.
Oh, you want me to come up with a cool catchphrase?
Dude, I have a cool catchphrase to end episodes of Friday Night Wars. You have to have a cool catchphrase to end the episode of Welcome to the Warzone. So,
Brian, you've been great. And guess what? You stepped into the Warzone with Mike and I welcome you to the Warzone anytime. Brian, Bolstered Up Sports, guys. Give it up. Mike, I'll see you on Friday night.
Let's get ready to rumble. Step into the war zone.
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 Friday night war zone.
Friday night war zone.
Mike, I got got a bone to pick with you though.
I'm listening.
I cannot stand seeing you with that UCLA shirt on and you flip-flopping back and forth. Either pick one. Pick the good guys, USC, the dominating force, or pick the baby blues Bruins. But pick one. You can't be both.
My hands are up. You got me on this one.